Darwin Platform Group of Companies is one of the fastest growing diversified Indian conglomerates with global footprints. It is setting up offices globally and tying up with companies across the globe from multiple sectors. The company has ventured into real estate and construction, stockbroking and finance, arms and ammunition, mining, airlines and many other sectors.
Hello and welcome. You're watching Business Today TV. This is Market Today. I'm Sakshi Batra and with me is Shail Bhatnagar. Well, yesterday it was the fifth day of consecutive gains for the Nifty as the index scaled a new peak and even came within a touching distance of the 22,200 mark as well. The index, while in the cruise mode till the final hour of trade, really came in yesterday. Some of the profits booking in the last 60 minutes did take place and therefore we did see the Nifty closing almost near to the previous record high of 22,126. The question is, will the follow-up buying after 5 days of gains sustain? Well, we will tell you, but first up, the top headlines we're tracking for you this hour. Indian markets are likely to consolidate on Tuesday as investors digest a 5-day rally to record highs. Heavyweight HDFC Bank will be in focus after the lender's management requested investors not to lose patience after dismal third quarter performance. White goods giant Whirlpool will be in focus on news that the US parent may sell at 24% stake in the company for $450 million at 7% below Monday's close. Very good morning to all our viewers present here today and good morning to Shail as well. Well, just like how I pointed, it was a great day of trade yesterday. The Nifty has now recovered 600 points from the last week's lows in the 5 sessions of gains that it has seen, and the Nifty has hit a fresh all-time high of 22,186. Shail, the question is that will the bulls have enough strength to sustain this buying trend on the upside?
A very good morning to you, Sakshi, and a warm welcome to thousands of people who are now joining us regularly on Market Today. As usual, we will start with the daily chart of the Nifty, and Sakshi, let's look at some interesting data that's come across us when it comes to the index. The daily chart is there, and from a low of 21,495, Sakshi, over the last 5 sessions, we've added something to the vicinity of 700 points, 622 definitely if you look at the low of the 5 days and the close of yesterday. So the record high is now with us. This was a record close. As also on an intraday basis, the index surged towards 21,200. Now what will happen from now onwards is that for the next 1 or 2 sessions, you will see a sideways trend because we have to digest these 600, 622, 650 points, as also the fact that you have a 5-day consecutive rally. So investors are encountering selling pressure at 22,200, 190, 170, and that's the reason why the index just might take some breath before it starts to move forward. This is the long-term daily chart of the Nifty right in front of you, and you see this 5-day rally right up front. Now what will happen, Sakshi, is that there is intense strength that is getting built up in the Nifty options chain when you look at the support levels of 22,000 and 21,950, 21,900, and so on and so forth. So if you look at the put writing, which basically means that bulls are creating long-term supports at these levels on the options chain, where in any case you see a lot of unwinding of calls in the ITM space, which basically means that bulls are in control. So at 22,050, at 22,000, you have very strong put writing. In fact, if you see yesterday's OI edition, about 20,90,000 puts were added at 22,000, and 10,12,000 puts were added at 21,900. This means that there is a very strong support for Nifty at current levels, and given the flat opening that we are seeing, if the Nifty slips towards 22,050, 22,000, then one must buy the dip for a higher high during the day. The resistance, as I've said earlier, is 22,180, 22,200, where you see FII selling emerging. But the mood, how should I say, the consistency is favoring bulls as far as the Nifty is concerned. RIL, State Bank of India, you see strong traction coming in auto stocks. There is tech stocks that are coming back into focus. So these are the 4 or 5 sectors that are doing extremely well, as also the PSU chunk led by SBI in Nifty. So these are the points that I'm looking at. Any dip towards 22,050 on the Nifty needs to be purchased.
Okay. Fair enough. Now let's talk about the Nifty Bank Shell. Although the Nifty Bank also made an intraday high of 46,717, it could not sustain above the same level. It closed nearly 200 points off the day's high. Now, the positive part was still that Monday's high was at least higher than the Friday's high, as was the intraday low. Now, will this 5-day surge, of course, we've seen a 1900 points kind of a recovery from the low of 44,633 that we had seen on the previous Monday for Nifty Bank. Where exactly is the Nifty Bank headed now that some buying is emerging on heavyweights like ICICI Bank?
So Sakshi, let's again go back to the daily chart, which is there in front of our viewers. And over the past 5 trading sessions, we've seen the Nifty Bank add about 1900 points. What is really good, ladies and gentlemen, is that it is now above all the short-term moving averages as far as the index is concerned. And we had an analyst con call with HDFC Bank yesterday. And the bank has said, that just as one swallow doesn't make a summer, one tepid earnings quarter should not define probably the finest balance sheet that is there in corporate India. And yes, there is a stress on, sourcing low-cost deposits, but the bank is very clear that it is not going to improve its ratios on the savings account side. Just excuse me for a moment, please. Sakshi, just excuse me for a moment, please.
Absolutely. So basically, of course, Nifty Bank, like I was pointing out, what we need to look at is that in the 5-day of surge that we've already witnessed on the Nifty Bank, it's recovered 1900 points from the previous Monday's low that was hit at 44,633, and that's a bit of a positive currently for the Nifty Bank. And within this, along with State Bank of India, we've also seen some kind of a pullback coming in on heavyweight counters like Axis Bank, ICICI Bank, HDFC Bank. Especially yesterday was the day when ICICI Bank really was in the front foot. Now the big question is that whether ICICI Bank will be able to sustain the kind of move that we are now looking at, as well as far as the Nifty Bank is concerned. While Shail really gets us his own research on Nifty Bank, let's also talk about how the global markets are really stepping forward. Now, when we talk about the US markets, they were shut on account of the President's Day in yesterday's trade, and therefore we do not have any cues from the US markets. As far as the Asian markets are concerned, they were trading mixed in the early trade on Tuesday, with the Nikkei up about 0.5%, while the Kospi was down about 1% or so. And even the Nikkei is now slightly volatile. You can see a 0.04% of a downtake. So subdued trade across the board as far as the Asian markets are concerned. Now, as far as the trends in the Gift Nifty indicate, they are indicating a flat start for the broader index in India with a loss of 9 points odd or so. So that's the global setup. But Shail, I think, is back with us. Shail, you were giving us research on the Nifty Bank as to how the heavyweight counters will now be moving forward, and will there be enough strength in the Nifty Bank?
The 1900 point rally on the Bank Nifty has been, mainly on because of smaller banks, as also, of course, State Bank of India. So over the past 5 trading sessions, the State Bank of India is up 6.3%, Federal Bank is up 10%, PNB 4.8%, Bank of Baroda 4.4%, Canara Bank 3.5%. So, it's the smaller soldiers within the Bank Nifty that are sort of doing the heavy lifting before finally something emerges on HDFC Bank, which is really unlikely. So these are the ones that are going to be focused even going ahead, and that is where the attention is, both of traders as well as investors. We've taken so many views on State Bank of India. People are really happy with the kind of growth that is coming in, despite balance sheet not exactly balance sheet issues, but the fact that wage revision will there, pension allocation needs to be done. So given that context, I think it's State Bank of India that's slowly taking over the mantle to drive Nifty Bank higher. And remember, this is the only index which hasn't sort of moved anywhere close to its all-time high. So this is something that we need to look forward to. And of course, today's T-1 for the index Bank Nifty. Tomorrow is the weekly expiry. So we'll keep that in mind. And any dip towards 46,100, towards 46,200 should be bought for a higher bounce. Sakshi.
Absolutely. Shail, anything in the F&O space that you're watching out for? Any key stocks?
Sakshi, I am very hesitant now on the 5th day of the rally to even discuss long side trades. So, we'll just probably look at stocks that have corrected sharply over the last, week or so within the F&O space, and then probably pay attention to those. Because I believe that 5 days rally, you need to sort of rest for one particular day and then probably move on. So maybe Z Entertainment, it's down about 5.5% over the last week or so, and there is some news as well which is looking forward to rekindling those talks with Sony. Let us see how it goes, but I'd just like to look at the reverse swing rather than anything new, Sakshi. So I'm just staying away from all possible longs.
Okay, staying away from all possible longs. Now, we've already discussed the global market cues, but as far as the flows are concerned, remember yesterday was also a day of low volumes. It was evident from the turnover in the cash markets as well. So both FIIs and DIIs, sold and bought less than 1,000 odd crore rupees respectively. So FIIs sold about 754 odd crores worth of stocks in the Indian markets. Domestic institutional investors bought about 452 odd crore rupees in the Indian market as well. A lot of stocks that we are keeping an eye out on. Whirlpool, the promoter firm, Whirlpool Mauritius, which holds 75% stake in the Indian arm, is expected to sell about 30.4 million shares or 24% equity stake via block deals at 1230 rupees per share. This is as per the reports that we are getting at. So keep an eye out on this stock. L&T will be in focus. The engineering conglomerate is preparing the ground to begin the commercial sale of electrolysis in September, which would be 50% cheaper than the European counterparts. Keep that in mind. Ujjivan Small Finance Bank, in an interaction with, of course, the management, with the media, they are saying that they are planning to boost the secured loan portfolio to 40% within next 3 years. Currently, it stands at 28.3%. That's going to be in focus. You have Balrampur Chini again in focus to, it's going to be investing about 2,000 odd crore rupees over the next 30 odd months. It's the story that has been ticking higher for the company. We also have stocks like Titagarh Rail, which is again going to be in track to supply driverless train sets for Bengaluru's Metro's yellow line from April. That's going to be in focus again. Then you also have HDFC Bank. The recent merger of HDFC Bank and HDFC Limited has brought forward the loan growth of the combined entity, triggering the need for private bank to raise funds, as per some of the management commentary right there. So we'll keep that in mind as well. Apart from this, we have NBCC that secured orders worth 3690 odd crore rupees. So that's going to be in focus. Data patterns. Remember, yesterday was a very, very sharp move on this one. Foreign investor is now planning to sell about 10.7% equity in the company via the open market. That's going to be in focus. So some of these companies are likely to keep the markets afloat. Let's welcome our guest on the show. Dharmesh Kant now joins in. He's the head of equity research at Cholamandalam Securities. Dharmesh, very good morning to you and good to have you with us on Business Today Television. A new high is what we have on the Nifty as of yesterday, at least on an intraday basis. And we are now keeping an eye out on 22,200 to be seen on the markets, of course. But your own sense, do you see that there is enough strength for the markets to continue move up higher? And which are the levers on the back of which the markets will continue to move up?
Yeah, good morning, Sakshi. Good morning, Sanji. I think liquidity is all about liquidity now. This market is all about it. In fact, this month itself, 18,000 odd crores of mutual fund cash flow has come into play through the SIP. And this is what is driving the market. As far as incremental news flows are concerned about specific companies, let's not forget these are the news flows which is needed for the continuity of the growth momentum and the various estimates of analysts which has gone into calculating the future revenues and profitability of the company. So this has to be there. It is coming. It's a welcome thing. As far as leaders to the next leg of rally is concerned, I think the leaders which has been taking this market higher will be the same. There won't be any change in guard for the leadership. And that comes from almost all the PSU undertakings, the public sector undertakings are the front runners, and ably helped by Reliance Industries. So this is the pocket to look into. As far as valuations are concerned, most of is at a sky high kind of a valuation, no room for any error or no scope for no elbow room left out there. However, having said that, I would still maintain there are pockets of value in public sector undertaking. For taking case, for example, ONGC is trading at 8-9 times P multiple with an ROE of more than 23%, PAT growth CAGR of more than 20%. Same is the case with NMDC, Coal India. So if you look at peer-wise private sector multiples, there's enough juice left out there. Same is the case of public sector banks, barring SBI. If you look at Bank of Baroda or a Canara Bank or a PNB, they are still less than 1 times price to book, whereas their counterparts in the private sector space, which are not doing anything great from what they have been doing, are around 2 times price to book. So I think this re-rating and reassignment of private sector multiples to most of the public sector undertakings, be it defense, railway infra, or a public sector bank or other plays are likely to continue. So liquidity is what is keeping the market up and is likely to be so in the near future.
Right. Namaste Dharmeshji and a very warm welcome to you on Market Today. I'm sure you were a part of the con call that HDFC Bank's management held yesterday. What are your views and how do you see this panning out in the market?
I could not attend the con call yesterday because of some medical emergency in the family. So I would not be able to comment on what transpired in that. Apologies for that.
Okay, not a problem, sir. How do you react to this news that Whirlpool's parent would be selling a 24% holding, bringing it down to 51% in this white goods major? How would you look at this possible transaction?
It depends upon who is the buyer. I mean, that is more critical to this parent sale which is there. And if the buyer is like a PE investor and all, then it's fine. But if there's a strategic buyer coming to the play, then it has to be looked from that angle how that strategy is going to play out for the future of Whirlpool as far as promoter holding and the parentage is concerned. Business-wise, things for consumer durable market has been started picking up of late. helped by both, consumer demand coming back into the play because of higher disposable income and the lower input prices. So we have seen Blue Star doing well. Voltas is again, coming back after a very disastrous last 1.5 years. And so when we do dealer checks, we are hearing that inquiries are back into the play in spite of, higher interest rates and EMIs, which has gone up for most of the consumer durable appliances. And that was the one which was, boosting the entire thing. It's a cyclical market, but I think the cycle is back for the demand too. Having said that, again coming back to the Whirlpool, let's see who the buyers are actually, how the deal happens, will decide the future goes. So I would not like to preempt that.
Okay. What about Z Entertainment, Dharmesh? We are again looking at reports suggesting that there may be rekindling of the talks with Sony merger. There could be light at the end of the tunnel. Do you think that is going to give some investors hope about the future of Z Entertainment?
It's actually definitely there's going to be a light at the end of the tunnel. For ZL last 1.5 years or so, or almost 2 years, it has been marred with all kind of a news flow, which has not gone in favor. And at the same time, the business has also taken it because if there is no clarity on the management part, it becomes very difficult to outline a vision and go with that vision or strategy or execution of the business. My own sense is if it's not even Sony, but some other big player will definitely come into play because G has no choice but to go for an alliance. So but that alliance from any media space will give it a flip, and you have to. You have to get that leap of faith to stay invested in Gene Entertainment for some conducive news flow coming to play, which I think should happen in next 6 months to 1 year time frame.
So
Because
would you advise a
they are
fresh
super
buy
strong.
at these levels? Would you advise a fresh buy at these levels?
Sakshi, unless just see my how I approach market is there's no hurry to buy any stock.
Okay.
If a stock has to go from 100 to 200, I'm happy to get in at 125, 130. But I would let that initial, move to happen and more clarity to emerge before taking a bet. So I think Z is a company where the deal happens. It can be a doubler from where it is. So initial 10, 12%, 15%, even if you leave on the table, you are fine with that. But let's be on a more settled water than a turbulent one.
Wonderful. Okay. On that note, Dharmesh, what we'll do is we'll take a very quick break, and when we return, we will open up with the pre-opening trades and discuss further with you where exactly are you looking at deploying fresh funds. Be with us, viewers.
Darwin Platform Group of Companies is one of the fastest growing diversified Indian conglomerates with global footprints. It is setting up offices globally and tying up with companies across the globe from multiple sectors. The company has ventured into real estate and construction, stockbroking and finance, arms and ammunition, mining, airlines and many other sectors.
Celebrate 32 years of leadership in business news with Business Today. From the groundbreaking AI cover of Sundar Pichai to PM Modi's exclusive on G20, we redefine headlines. Now our 32nd anniversary issue explores India 2029, the 5-year agenda with industry titans sharing exclusive insights. So, just BT it for unparalleled perspectives. Business Today. 32 years of leadership, innovation and business brilliance. Subscribe now. In today's rapidly evolving business environment, when risk is omnipresent, managing risks is no longer just about ticking a few boxes. Businesses need to maintain a panoramic view of risks to stay ahead of the curve. Join us to explore how organizations can rethink risk to unlock new possibilities and become fit for future. At PwC presents De-Risking the Future in collaboration with Business Today.
Welcome back to Market Today. We have pre-open rates right there in front of you. The index after 5 successive sessions of gains is opening flat. So the Nifty is down 42 points, 22,080. Let's look at the stocks amongst the index. I'll mention the green ones first. Tata Motors is 0.8% higher, 940. You have Kotak Bank 1.1% higher, 1750. The bank has announced a series of moves for its top C-suite to retain talent as also to give new responsibilities to existing staff. You have Reliance, which is slated to open 10 rupees lower at 2653. You have a green tick on ICICI Bank, 1045, just a rupee 25 higher. Infosys is opening in the red, 14 rupees 75 rupees lower at 1682. State Bank of India is flat, it's doing nothing, 759. So it's a bit of a nothing opening as far as the index heavyweights are concerned. Let's shift focus to the FNO space and try and look at stocks that are opening in the green. Sakshi, we had discussed Z. It's opening 10% higher in pre-open, 196.35. You have a fairly decent move coming in again on Glenmark, a percent higher, 871. We have gains in the Bandhan Bank 2.5% higher, 208.90. NMDC 1.5% higher, almost 250. Let's look at the NSE 500 space and then look at more interesting data from here. Torrent Power, this is something to look at. The Prime Minister, Mr. Narendra Modi, was in UP yesterday. He's announced a series of initiatives on the power space, and some of those contracts have to be executed by Torrent Power. Therefore, 1246, 5.5% higher. Paytm Sakshi, 5% higher, 376. This is after yesterday's 5% uptick. Okay, NBCC, an order win, 5% higher, 148. You have moves coming in on Union Bank, 1.8% higher at 143.70. We'll let these rates settle down. The index is now just 29 points lower, 22,090, trying to open flat after 5 successive days of gains. Sakshi.
Absolutely. Let's look at a few more stocks that are in news. So NBCC, it's got 3 work orders and therefore you can see the stock opening about 5% higher in trade. Deepak Fertilizers, the company has signed a 15-year LNG contract with Norway-based Equinor, and that's also led the stock to jump higher in trade by about 5%. In trade today, so at 520, 5.1% higher for this one. Titagarh Rail about 1.5% higher. The company is on track to supply driverless train sets for Bengaluru's Metro Yellow Line from April, and that's led the stock to even touch 1,000 mark in today's trade. These are some of the stocks that are doing well. Sula Vinyas, after yesterday's move, is now up by about 1% in trade, 1.5% in trade right now. Those are the particular stocks that we are looking at. Dharmesh, to you, we were talking about Z just before we close for breaks, and now the pre-opening trades already indicating a 10% upside. You said that you'd be willing to give up any first initial 10-15% kind of gains until the time clarity emerges. That's when you would like to look at an opportunity at 190 odd. How would you want to revisit?
I was talking about a confirmation of the news flows
Okay.
surrounding the G arrangement rather than the stock price movement. So
Okay.
I mean, see, Sakshi, what I would like to say here is there are enough suitors for Z. With whom this marriage happens has to be seen.
Okay, let's also welcome Osho with us. I think Osho Krishnan is also joining us, Senior Research Analyst, Technical and Derivatives Research at Angel One. Very good morning to you, Osho, and good to have you with us on Business Today. Pre-opening trades indicating a flattish to a negative bias kind of a start for the benchmark index Nifty at 22,106. But where exactly are you going to be keeping your focus in the strategy, if you could mention?
Very good morning, Sakshi. Thank you for having me at your show. In the recent 3 trading sessions, what we have observed that undoubtedly the trend is very positive. Nifty is making higher highs, but the formation of candlestick charts are becoming very narrow. That means we are witnessing very small body formation on the technical charts. Also, Nifty is in the formation of ascending triangle pattern breakout, and it is on the verge of breakout. And formation of a doji kind of a candlestick pattern at a breakout is not a very positive signal. So I'm not very much optimistic in the market that today we can witness a very strong upsurge in the market. But definitely looking at the derivative data, we have witnessed that a lot of positions have been shifted on the higher end from the put writers. That means 22,000 and 22,100 has attracted the put writers on the higher end. So that's a positive development for the market. That means any blip towards the zone of 22,050, 60 odd levels should be acting as a very strong support zone for the counter, and we can witness a decent upward movement. And once we see a decisive upsurge towards the zone of 150 spot levels, then from there onwards we can witness a good rally. But overall sentiments are positive, but we have to wait for sustenance at higher levels. Once the market sustain at the higher levels, then we can witness a strong upside movement in the coming period.
Okay. Sakshi, I'd like to mark Federal Bank. This is the top loser both in the FNO space as also the NSE 500. Now, the news is actually related to the reshuffling that's happened of responsibilities at Kotak Bank. This is the redesignation of whole-time director KVS Manian as joint managing director effective 1st March within Kotak. Mr. Manian was supposed to head for Federal Bank as CMD. So we don't know whether that move will still happen or not. But the market seems to be reacting ahead of that thing. At the moment, Federal Bank is down 6% at 153. Of course, this was a record high. We are also looking at Whirlpool 1280. There is a block deal to be done at 7% below yesterday's close of about a 24% stake valued at about $450 million on this one. So Whirlpool will remain on the radar as far as prices are concerned. Sakshi.
Absolutely. Osho, give us a sense of where exactly are you looking at for momentum buying in this current market?
See, currently there are many counters which are looking positive from the pharma or healthcare space. There are many counters which has given a breakout. Like for example, Cipla yesterday has given a very strong breakout. So we can witness a continuation or a follow-up buying in Cipla. The 1500 mark is to be seen in a positional basis, in a very short-term basis. So 1500 should be seen as the target. On the lower end, as the breakout has formed somewhere around 1450 odd level, so that should be acting as the support zone. So any dip towards 1460, 1450 should be auguring well. On the higher end, I am expecting 1500 as the target. The second counter is Lalpath Labs. Lalpath Labs, if I have to tell them, it is on the verge of giving a very strong breakout. It has seen a consolidation near the zone of 2500, which is the cluster of its moving average. Yesterday, it tried to give a very strong breakout, but it did not. But the volumes were quite decent as compared to the recent 10 to 15 days of a volume. So we are expecting that from here onwards, Lal Path Lab can see a very decent up move on the higher end. 2560, 2580 is the target. On the lower end, the risk is very minimal. 2440 should be kept as the stop loss, and the higher end, we are expecting 2580 in a short term period.
Okay, this is what is the view that's coming in on Lal Path Lab. Let's look at some other prices, Sakshi. Railways was moving in thick trade yesterday. We have a 5% uptick on Kernex Limited, 655.75. This is a company that makes anti-collision devices for railway engines. There is some news in the market, of course unsubstantiated, that Alstom is looking to take a very decent stake in Kernex Limited. So this is something news-led, which will be on our view as far as prices are concerned. Some more I'll mark in terms of how the most active counters are there on the NSE 500. You see fairly strong movement in NHPC and NBCC in terms of early deals. There is Whirlpool trying to open 3.85% lower, 1280. Sakshi, what have you watched?
Well, Shail, on the pharma space itself, I wanted to understand from Dharmesh as to where exactly are you keeping your focus, because of course this space has done well in this quarter and it has also surprised quite a few people. Some of the earnings trades also coming in for some companies for this quarterly earnings. Do you still believe that the bulk of the rally is left? Or do you feel that somebody is going to be late if one hops onto the bus of pharma right now?
Definitely, I do have a feeling that it's now late to be into the pharma space, and it was a surprise for most of the analyst community out there. The type of earnings which many of the pharma companies has reported, be it Cipla or Sun Pharma, they all came out with very good set of numbers, and the reason being is that the price cuts which were happening in US has stabilized to a great extent, and US FDA has been kind of late for awarding many observations in favor of Indian pharma companies. And the problem with the rules out there is it's a moving goalpost. Every time they keep on changing rules, and sometimes the domestic pharma companies are left unguarded to as to the new rules which has come into play and to take heed to them. So that's the case in point which has happened with the window pharma of late. Having said that, I think still, for example, Dr. Reddy's, I have recommended on your channel as well many times, around 56, 5700. The company is in a sweet spot. And I mean, all this division, be it US, Europe, all India has been doing well. Both generic pharmaceuticals as well as the API business has been doing well. And valuation wise, there is a comfort zone. So you have to be now selective when you are entering pharma space. I don't see a downside per se. There may be small corrections, but nothing majorly drastic happening out there. But gaining on the upside is there. That also seems limited for most of the pharma companies. Dr. Reddy still has a scope of around 5-7% kind of move out there. But then again, there it will be priced to perfection. So this is the zone where most of the pharma companies are there. Osho was pointing out, say, Dr. Lal Pathsar. So I think diagnostic is one play where there is still some steam left for the upside.
Okay. Let's look at some other prices. Sakshi, you mentioned Deepak Fertilizers in a transaction with a European company. The counters settled 4.6% higher, 517.30. There's been a large transaction in Minda Corp yesterday, about 4% equity changing hands. The counters 4.5% higher, 444.90. CIE India 483.25 at the moment, trying to open flat. Let's look at some other movers. Federal Bank, Whirlpool in the red. On the gainer side, EID Parry 5.9% higher, 635. So actually, any prices that you've observed which we can mark before markets open in less than 50 seconds?
Kotak Mahindra Bank, that's, redesignated KVS Manian as joint MD. The stock is slightly higher in trade. Paisalu Digital, there's going to be a talk of fundraise there. So, this stock is also moving higher in trade. Of course, at this point in time, we can see about a percent of a move on this one. We've also looked at Tata Power, that's Torrent Power, beg your pardon, that's up by about 2% in trade. NBCC 1.2% higher on the back of the order win, 369 odd crore rupees of an order win coming in for this one. Of course, Shail.
The prices are there, Sakshi. Let's look at the transaction on Whirlpool for the moment, 3% lower, 1288. The block doesn't seem to have happened yet. The index is 36 points lower, 22,089. Nifty Bank 124 points lower, 46,408. The market is opening in the red after 5 successive days of decent gains. The IT index about 1/3% lower. The Nifty 500 flat at about 20,224. Let's look at what's happening within the main index heavyweight space. Okay, so actually all 10 are in the red except for Kotak Bank, which is 1% higher, 1748. So this Profit booking come consolidation is likely to be on the index for today. Let's look at the three index heavyweights. HDFC Bank flat 1416. Let's look at Infosys 1690, half a percent lower. How about Reliance? 6 rupees lower, 2943. Let's look at some other counters in the FNO space which are moving in the green. Okay. Deepak Fertilizers, Sakshi had pointed this one to you, 8% higher, 537. EID Parry 4% higher at about 628. Paytm 5% higher, 376.25. Torrent Power, about 2400 crores worth of projects to be executed in UP, 2.7% higher, 1212. Let's look at the FNO space and then get Osho into the conversation. Z, 6% higher at 190.65 on news that its former suitor Z, Sony, are in conversation again back. Power Grid 1.5% higher, Delta Corp 2.5% higher. Fertilizer space is looking good. Coromandel International and Chambal both up 1.5%. We have, I think, a strong move coming in. Kotak Bank 1.1% higher, 1752. Lal Path Labs about a percent higher, 2515. Osho, to you first. What are the first one or two trades that you're looking for as far as markets have opened?
Volatility that can be seen on the counters, but Titan is one of the counter which I was seeing from yesterday. It is at a psychological mark of 3700. So if it sustains above 3700 levels, then we can see a very good resurgence in this counter for the higher targets of near to 3750, 3760 for intraday. So this is a counter which is looking positive for the day. As of now, there are many counters also which are looking positive, but this is one of the counter which I have been tracking from yesterday. So sustenance above 3700 can push this counter towards 3750 for the day.
All right, let's look at some more prices then. From the FNO space, Power Grid is going to be in focus, 1.5% higher in trade. We have Nalco. That's ticking higher by about 2 odd percent, at around 161 in the FNO space again. You also have, this has come after a long haul. Jubilant Food Works, 1.5% higher, 498. We look at this one. And of course, Aditya Birla Fashion Retail, it has been ticking higher for the last few trading sessions. Godrej Consumer Products, that's the one that's moving, 1.5% higher. You also have Glenmark Pharma. That's been in the momentum. It's again ticking higher by a percent or so. Osho, anything from the FNO space that catches your attention at this level?
See, chemical counters have seen some kind of positive development from last day. So Tata Chemicals is looking positive from the FNO space. It has it is moving towards the zone of 1000. So that can be the immediate target, currently around 980 odd levels. But we have seen a decent up move in this counter from the last 3 to 4 trading sessions. So we are expecting that from here onwards, the 200-day SMA, which is placed around the zone of 1010, can be tested in the coming period. Also on the downside, 970, that is the risk that one can expect in this counter. And on the higher end, 1000 to 1010 is the immediate target. Once it recoups or move above the zone of 1010, then from there onwards we can even witness a higher target in this counter.
Okay. Dharmesh ji, to you, Kotak Mahindra Bank 1.3% higher in trade as the top mover on the Nifty. How would you look at this bank? It's rather been, untouched topic when we talk about private banks. We've rather been focused on HDFC and ICICI and Axis Bank. Do you see this fresh move coming in on Kotak Mahindra Bank that could be sustained on the upside? Is this a good level to look at this stock?
It actually depends upon how you are looking at and what window or the time horizon. If you're looking at from, say, a year's perspective, then definitely it's a good value buy. What has happened with Kotak Bank is like for the past 1 year or so, they have been consciously slow on their trade growth window, particularly on the personal loan segment or the subprime segment, so to call off. So they have been very choosy about their the loan growth profile on the segments to which and the granularity of the growth which they have been taken, very conscious of their asset quality, and that is the reason why people choose, I mean, ICC, Axis, who have been more aggressive to grow their businesses. So, and then there's a succession thing also. I mean, the management, overall senior management stability, and who are the people who would be at the helm after say 2 or 3 years time frame. And the Kotak Bank was also on the minds of many of the investors. So no fresh buying was happening. But I think from valuation perspective and from say 2 or 3 year kind of a window horizon, at least 1 year you should have in mind. This is a good value buy considering the fact that the other segment of the market is very heated up. So you do have a margin of safety and a elbow room for comfort out there if you are buying it as an investment.
Okay, Sakshi, Kotak, very rightly so, is in the thick of news. We should also pay attention to Federal Bank. It's the top loser, 5% lower, 154.95, a bit of a sentiment breaker of this appointment that's happened within Kotak. So, this is how life is, and this is how we move forward. But for the moment, it's a 5.5% dip on Federal Bank. No issues there. Federal was already at a record high, so one really doesn't matter. But I think Kotak is the top draw when you look at how it's moving within the Nifty space as well. At the moment, you see Kotak being the second top gainer, 1.5% higher, and this has come after a very, very long time that you see Kotak gaining so much of attention. 1756. Remember, the stock hasn't moved much over the last 5 years, and it's a bit of a relief. Deepak Fertilizers, Sakshi, taking it away. Would you share that news again? 546. Osho, coming to you. This is one of those underperformers over the long term, which seem to have now sparked a rally. It's a wonderful swing trade. 705 on 4th of January, and it's a single unidirectional fall to 495. What do you think, Osho?
See, overall, this counter, as you have said, it has been on a vertical fall from the zone of 700 levels. Today, yes, we have seen some kind of a strong resurgence that has been backed by volumes in the first 15 minutes only. So it can be the first signal of a reversal for this counter, but better to wait for a consolidation at the current levels above the zone of 530, because 530, 520 odd zone has been a monthly or multi-week support zone for this counter. So any sustenance above the zone of 530 in the coming period can attract some gradual upside or gradual buying in this counter. So we need to have patience for immediate buying in this counter for a longer duration. For short term or for intraday or swing trade, yes, there can be ample opportunities to do intraday trades in such counters where we witness a strong volatility for the day.
Okay, so as far as the news is concerned for Deepak Fertilizers, the company has signed a 15-year LNG contract with Norway-based Equinor, and with this tie-up, Deepak Fertilizers is now looking to strengthen its value chain with an attractive contract of the LNG, a long-term contract to solidify its value chain from gas to ammonia to various downstream fertilizers and industrial chemicals and mining chemicals as well. And the end-to-end tie-up shall establish a strong long-term foundation for all the product segments of the company, and which is why you see a very strong move on this one as well. I've spotted a few stocks that one can look at. Let's look at Zaggle Prepaid. This is rarely a stock that we look at. The company, of course, came out with its earnings I think a week or so back, and the company is now back in focus. It's soaring, 11% higher in trade at 282, then Tourism Finance, again, the company came out with the earnings a few days ago, and the net sales were up by about 32 odd percent, and in fact the profit of the company had risen by 50 odd percent. So tourism finance is up by 5%. Let's look at and it's now at 220, and of course it's as a circuit right now. And Paytm, let's look at that one too. Again, there is an of a 5% uptick that you can see on Paytm again today. So continue to visit and revisit that stock and keep that on your watch list. Even in today's trading action, when we look at the kind of move that you're looking at, it's a 5% of an uptick on Paytm. Jindal Store, that's moving up sharply, 5% higher in trade. Those are some of the stocks that are looked at. So Paytm in front of you, 376, 5% higher. But Osho, to you, any of the stocks which I mentioned that look strong on charts, technically on just for traders and for investors who track technicals, do you see any of these stocks that can be looked at?
See, the first counter which you have mentioned was Zaggle. So Zaggle,
Yeah.
if I have to talk on the technical perspective, the data is not sufficient to have a very strong judgment on this counter. But looking at the trend, because it is at a very at 52 weeks or lifetime high zone only. So from here onwards, as the momentum is very positive and we are witnessing a breach of the previous swing high, so that's again a positive development. So one can definitely look for this counter for the continuation in the follow-up buying. Now coming to the second counter, which was Paytm. Paytm again is under speculation, so there can be some kind of tick on both the sides. So it's better to part ways or to stay sidelines from Paytm as of now. And the counter, the Zaggle, is looking positive. So one should definitely, if they have high risk appetite phenomena, then one should definitely look for Zaggle. It is expected to do well on the technical chart from here onwards, and I'm expecting on looking at the recent development that 290 to 95 should be tested in this counter.
Okay, Sakshi. Let's again get back into the momentum space. ONGC has started to move. I've seen 4 very large block deals happening on ONGC. Coming to you, Osho, any view that you would have on this wonderful counter? Dharmeshji, before you joined us in the morning show, has already given a thumbs up on this one. 280 days high. Osho, what is ONGC telling you?
See, ONGC on technical front has given a very drastic upsurge because there has been no in between blips or profit booking that has been seen in this counter. It has totally been in the higher highs, higher lows formation, and currently hovering at the 52-week high. So we are expecting that the momentum should continue until we witness the break in the current momentum, which can only happen once it breaches the zone of 255, 250 odd levels. So until that level is sustained, we are expecting any dip in this counter should be auguring well for the buyers. And on immediate basis, again, 295 to 300 is the target that one can expect from short to medium term time frame. It's not very aggressive target for this counter because already it is in the overbought territory. But looking at the trend, it is looking very positive. Immediate support is at 265 to 270, followed by 255 and 50.
Okay.
Okay. Selective PSU counters are also moving up, Sakshi. Just let me mark a couple of them and
Sure.
then you can take over. Within the PSU space, you have a strong move that's coming in on NBCC. Remember, they've got an order, 3.9% higher, 146. You have Shipping Corporation, 3.7% higher, 248, 249. You have Barmer Lorry, 3% higher at about 263. And we've discussed ONGC. HUDCO is moving up 1.9% higher, 196. And you have National Aluminium, 1.5% higher at 163.5. Let's look at the all-time highs within the NSE 500. That will give you an idea where money is moving in. You have Sundaram Finance, Sakshi, 4173. We discussed this in great detail yesterday. Minda Corp, 436.75, 2.5% higher. Another new name, Thermax, underappreciated for a very long while, 35.52, 1.8% higher. And you have Indian Hotels, no surprise, Bosch, 0.5% higher, 29.10, 29.100, Sakshi.
Okay, so there is no let up in the kind of heavyweight counters, that we've been touching upon over the last few trades as well. But, Dharmesh, I wanted to ask you on the QSR space, especially Jubilant Foodworks, that's come back in flavor today after a long haul. What exactly is going on with this space? There was a time post-COVID when everybody was betting big on the QSR space because there was a revenge buying of sorts, revenge travel, revenge going out. That was a theme that panned out. But things have been lying low for some point when we talk about the QSR chains. So stocks like Devyani International, Sapphire Foods, Jubilant Foods, for example. How would you look at this space entirely, and on Jubilant Foods if you have a view?
Yeah, sure. So, okay. I think reality check has stepped in. I mean, QSR, as far as food consumption is concerned, when everybody is conscious of their health and their weight gain, which is leading to. So, that has been playing out. And to my surprise, when the earnings were announced this time around, most of these companies cited local competition stepping in. So that was a big surprise to my mind, because these are the companies who are sitting on a lot of muscle power, money power to play out the competition, and that to a local competition. So somehow I do feel that there has been a shift in the consumption of the people around. They have become more health conscious, and these are the companies who, I mean, pizzas, burgers, and all. Once in a while is fine, but everyday fooding habit becomes health hazard also in a way. So that is happening. And one thing which I have noticed for the last 3-4 days of our trading session is more of a change in the texture of trading place, where the beaten down stocks have been bought for a trading perspective. So today's move, I do think, will be Jubilant Food or, Devyani International, things like that. So it's more, and for the chemical sector, like Deepak lighted, as though it's on the back of a news flow as well. But if you see UPL and all, these stocks have been moving up. So some kind of trading buy where the margin of safety seems to be relatively high because the stock has corrected well is also playing out. So QSR valuation wise, they all are expensive. There is no denying of that fact. And I think it's more of a trading play which is playing out rather than fundamentals. And you rightly pointed out that the revenge thing is over, and now the sanity and the normal day-to-day consumption is stepping back in. So that is leading to the lesser growth, which of the top lines and bottom lines, which was happening earlier.
Okay. Sakshi, I think we need to mark the sugar space. This is buzzing. Sri Renuka Sugars, 50.85. You have a very strong move coming in Balrampur Chini as well. I think Balrampur was amongst the top 2 or 3 gainers in the FNO space as well. Yes, at the moment, not only is it a gainer of about 2.6%, 394.65, it's traded about 60% of its 5-day quantity, about 13.26 lakh shares. You had Triveni Sugars in the thick of things. Bajaj Hindustan is doing pretty well on the screens. Shakti Sugars, I think, is also in the green. And then a whole host of, Rajshri Sugars. I see Andhra Sugar at 111.95, 1.7% higher. Shakti Sugars at 40 rupees 30 paisa is 5.36% higher. So it's sweetness that is coming into the market at record levels. Let's get Osho's view in. Osho, would you have a sense on Sri Renuka Sugars? 51.20 now. It's moving up rapidly.
Yes, overall, if I have to say about the sugar counters, then they are forming or they are moving in a very sloping channel on the downside. So I'm not very much optimistic on all the sugar counters. They are, yes, in a day for traders perspective, yes, we can definitely look out for some opportunity to buy this counter. On the higher end, we need to exit also. But from a longer duration, the counter is still in the sidelines or in a corrective phase. So one should wait for a consolidation to break out. For Renuka Sugar, the sloping trend line is near around the zone of 52, 53 odd level. So until it breaches the zone of 52, 53, we are not expecting a very sustenance in this counter. So definitely for today, yes, one should definitely try to accumulate and book it near the zone of 52 to 53 odd levels. Once we witness a sustenance above those zones, then from there onwards we can see some kind of resurgence in this sector.
Okay. Got that. Dharmesh, before we let you go, the real estate pack is entirely buzzing. If we look at macro tech developers, that's up by 5 odd percent. Sobha is up 2%. Kolte Patil, that's moving up 1.5%. Ajmera Realty, India Bulls Real Estate, Godrej Properties, all 1.5% higher. The entire pack has been moving in trade. Your own sense of how should one look at this space? Of course, it's been a real outperformer in the last 1 year, 80% of a surge, and then continued buying in the first 2 months of this new year as well. But how much more can the growth sustain or uptrend sustain? Is it a good time to book your profits out? Is it topping out? How do you really look at the real estate move?
Yes, actually, I would stay put on the real estate segment. I won't be booking my profits out right now because I think there is more steam left to go. And this 1 year should be good. I mean, this entire calendar year is likely to be better for all real estate companies. And let's not forget all the tailwinds are still there. The lower input prices is there. Sales are happening. At the same time, what I think is sooner, I mean, by the end of the middle of the year, there would be rate cut coming into play. So that will again boost the affordable segment where like macro tech developers and all are very much prevalent out there. So it's not the time to book out. If you don't want to invest fresh money, deploy fresh money, it's fine. But if you have already invested, you should stay put and maybe around Diwali this year, November or December is the right time to book out from real estate. On an index front, I do think around 12 to 15% kind of an up move on the realty stake. Index is still there and on the table to be taken.
All right. Dharmesh, well, on that
Okay,
note,
Sakshi,
yeah.
let's take a very quick break. Sakshi, we'll take a very quick break, and on the other side, we'll be discussing the sharp spurt that's coming in the Bank Nifty. Thank you so much, Dharmeshji, for your wonderful thoughts on how the markets are structured. We'll be back after a short while.
Darwin Platform Group of Companies is one of the fastest growing diversified Indian conglomerates with global footprints. It is setting up offices globally and tying up with companies across the globe from multiple sectors. The company has ventured into real estate and construction, stockbroking and finance, arms and ammunition, mining, airlines and many other sectors.
Celebrate 32 years of leadership in business news with Business Today. From the groundbreaking AI cover of Sundar Pichai to PM Modi's exclusive on G20, we redefine headlines. Now our 32nd anniversary issue explores India 2029, the 5-year agenda, with industry titans sharing exclusive insights. So, just BT it for unparalleled perspectives. Business Today, 32 years of leadership, innovation and business brilliance. Subscribe now. In today's rapidly evolving business environment, when risk is omnipresent, managing risks is no longer just about ticking a few boxes. Businesses need to maintain a panoramic view of risks to stay ahead of the curve. Join us to explore how organizations can rethink risk to unlock new possibilities and become fit for future. At PwC presents De-Risking the Future in collaboration with Business Today.
Welcome back. You're watching Market Today on Business Today Television. I'm Sakshi Batra, with me Shail Bhatnagar, and we're in conversation with Osho Krishnan to discuss which other areas where you can focus on to make money in the markets. Right now, if you look at the Nifty Bank, That's the one that's showing a strong rebound from the day's low. It's now almost recovered 300 points from the day's low, and it's thanks to two particular stocks, and that is HDFC Bank, that's contributing about 9 odd points to the Nifty move as well. And when we talk about Axis Bank, that's the one that's on the day's high now. 0.5% gains coming in for HDFC Bank, and Axis Bank contributing about 0.5% gains again for this one as well. A very strong move of this one too. Osho, to you, from the banking space, the private sector majors, how do you look at this recovery coming in? Any particular stock that you will be more bullish on at the current move?
See, overall Bank Nifty, yes, undoubtedly have seen a very good resurgence, and now I'm expecting that 46,200, which was the previous resistance zone for Bank Nifty, should be acting as a very strong support zone. So there can be some decent gradual up move, because now onwards we can expect the private bank as well as the NBFCs to pitch in and have a very strong upside or a very good traction in the coming period. From private sector bank, ICICI Bank is looking very positive, because if I have to say about the technicalities of this counter, then from yesterday development, we have seen a very good strong up move from the zone of 1020 odd levels towards 1040. Today it is on a flat note, but we are expecting that it should continue the upward movement in the coming period for the targets of nearly 1080. If I have to say about the technical levels, then on closing basis, yesterday it has witnessed the highest ever closing on the technical chart on the daily time frame. So I am expecting that the time it breaches the zone of 1045, 1050, again it should be attracting strong buyers, and one can definitely expect the target of 1080 in the coming period.
Okay. All right, so that's as far as the banking space is concerned. Let's also look at, we were talking about the QSR space, and the Zomato share from the food delivery space is back in focus. And Osho will be the best person to talk about the kind of move that we are looking at. Shail has shared a fantastic chart of Zomato, and you can actually see consecutive green candles for at least 10 sessions, if I'm not wrong, that has been going up, and it's now nearing its all-time high level of 170 as well, 3% higher for Zomato. And there has been if we look at the monthly chart as well, there have been 12 month-on-month upticks that you've been looking at on Zomato. Very, very strong move coming in. Osho, would you want to come in on that?
Definitely. If I have to say about the formation of Zomato charts, then it has formed a very strong rounding pattern on the daily chart. And if I have to talk about the weekly time frame, then the closer above the zone of 155, which again on the daily chart is a bullish gap. So I am expecting that definitely it should sustain above the zone of 155 for the whole week. And if it sustains above 155, then from a longer duration, we can expect that a higher target in this counter, because it will be forming a strong rounding formation breakout on the weekly time frames. So on the higher end, one can definitely expect for a shorter term perspective 178 to 180 as the target. But for a longer duration, the kind of pattern it has formed, the targets are very massive, which won't be which won't be exactly the correct figure, which if I have to say as of now, but 178, 180 should be the target that one can definitely see in this counter in the coming period.
Okay. Sakshi, let's just pay attention to the Bank Nifty. This one is moving very, very fast. Over the last 15 minutes, from a low of 46,370, the index has moved to 46,600. So about a 300-point uptick, driven primarily by the very sharp spurt that we are now seeing in HDFC Bank, 1431. Let's look at the positioning of HDFC Bank. We are talking about this stock from the morning. I just want to see what is the volume on HDFC Bank. We normally don't discuss this one on a regular basis. Okay. Most active counters, yes. About 441 crores worth of shares have been traded on HDFC Bank. Needless to say, this is the most active counter. Let's look at it within the perspective of Nifty Bank, and let's shift it to volume buzzers. Okay, we have about 12% of trade happened on HDFC Bank in the first 20-30 minutes of trade. We have a very strong move coming in on AU Bank and Kotak Bank. So these are the three stocks that are driving the index higher. Within the pullers and draggers, let's look at, okay. So Sakshi, here is something very interesting for you. HDFC Bank is contributing 13 points on the green side as far as Nifty is concerned, and Nifty is negative. Okay, Kotak is contributing 7 points, and the weakness is creeping in the Nifty because of a 0.5% downtick on Infosys, 0.25% downtick on Reliance. Coal India is 3% lower. Bajaj Auto is showing profit booking, as also M&M. But it's Zomato, Sakshi, which is taking it away. The all-time high on Zomato, ladies and gentlemen, is 170 rupees. This was in November of 2021, and from then on, the stocks fell very sharply to 43 rupees, and over the last 11 months, 12 months, each month it has closed in a higher green level than what it was in the previous months. 162.45, Sakshi, a very strong move coming in on Zomato.
Okay, and there is some kind of a buzz. I think I have not got the details yet, but 0.04% of equity has also exchanged hands in Zomato, and that is perhaps what explains the kind of move that we are seeing on this one too. But you know, Shail, no matter how much we talk about the exuberance in the IPO space, Tuesday is again going to be belonging to a debut from the IPO's primary markets, and that is Vibhor Steel Tubes. Let's wait 10 minutes and you will see a substantial move. In the pre-open trade, Vibhor Steel Tubes has settled at 121 rupees as against the issue price of 151. The grey market premium was indicating an 86% premium listing, but what we are looking at in the pre-open is 182% of an uptick that you could be looking at on Vibhor Steel Tubes. And we will be in a short while cutting into the live listing ceremony. But in case you have got an allotment, this is the space that you need to watch out for. I'm sure you're going to be laughing away to the bank once this happens, because the pre-opening trades are really indicating a blockbuster listing, Shail.
Yeah, Sakshi, you remember we were in Bombay once discussing in an on-ground event about this IPO mania, and I had suggested the name of Bengali Baba to get those allotments confirmed. Well, I haven't been able to visit him, therefore I don't have an allotment. But like I said, I mean, this is way much above anything that I have ever seen. And I would just refrain from making a fool of myself on a public platform by saying that you must book some profit. जो हो रहा है वो क्यों हो रहा है मेरे को नहीं पता, but it is against all common sense that we have learned in the markets. And all the good luck and all congratulations to people who have been allotted, beyond which I don't want to say anything.
Osho has been smiling. I believe he has got an allotment of Vibhor Steel Tubes. In case you have, Osho, the party is due on you.
Undoubtedly no, because my luck in getting IPOs are very bad. So hardly once in the blue moon I get any IPO, and that IPO turns out to be Paytm kind of an investment for me.
So it's a painful move.
लेकिन ओशो जी, आप तो बड़े ध्यान वगैरह करते हैं, मेडिटेशन वगैरह, आपके पास क्यों नहीं आ रहे ये अलॉटमेंट? हम लोग तो चलो, मैं तो पापी सही, मैंने ये कभी किया नहीं, लेकिन आप तो बहुत ध्यानी आदमी है, आपके फर्स्ट नेम में भी भगवान है, दूसरे नाम में भी भगवान है, फिर आपके पास क्यों नहीं आ रहा IPO?
The stock market को name से कुछ लेना देना नहीं. For them, the ID number is something which is not positive for me.
क्या बात.
Okay, we will come back at 10 a.m. and show you what the listing has happened at in the real market, in the secondary market. But looks like it is going to be a blockbuster trade that we are going to look at. So we will watch out for this one. But let's get back to the markets. 40 points down for the Nifty, 22,083 currently. It's the realty pack that's been buzzing strongly, 2% higher now. Media space, consumer durables, small caps that are 0.2% up in trade, and the Nifty Bank, which is up on the back of financial services, and slight takes on PSU banks as well at this point in time. But the market breadth is shifting lower as we do see more and more sectors come back, under the selling pressure or profit booking, if I may say so. The moves on the Nifty include names like Power Grid, Grasim, ONGC, Kotak Bank, HDFC Bank, Apollo Hospitals, LTI Mindtree, and Axis Bank kind of moves that are coming in. Anything else, Osho, that you spotted in this market that you would like to point out in terms of stock ideas?
Yes, cement counter is looking very positive. Grasim, if I have to pick the name, then Grasim has given a breakout. It has formed a very strong U shape or double. It's not on the bottom, so it won't be called as a double bottom, but we have seen a very strong resurgence from the zone of 2,550 rupees, and from there onwards, it has been on a very strong upsurge. Currently, it is sustaining above the zone of 22,000, so I am expecting that from here onwards another 150 point of rally is due in this counter. Approximately 2350, 2360 is the target that one can expect in Grasim in the coming period.
Okay. Sakshi, two stocks I like to mark. It's 952. I think we are going to see a record high on Power Grid very soon. The counters moved to 286. The all-time high on this one is 289. We'll also look at how Power Grid is based in terms of the open interest, and at the moment, if you look at the open interest in Power Grid, just a moment, Power Grid. Okay, it's 3.3% higher, and the counter is also 3.1% higher. This is headed towards an all-time high. And yesterday, for those who joined us early morning, I had marked Dixon because it had spurted sharply on volumes. Again, Dixon is at 68.73, and yes, this is a record high. So these are the two stocks that I wanted to mark. Remember, if you study price, if you study volume, if you study delivery, that's more than enough to track and get winners in your portfolio. Sakshi.
Okay, Osho, you had mentioned Dr. Lal Path Labs as your top pick, and that stock has now moved up sharply in the F&O space. It's up by 3% right now at 2545 or 2500 in the real market, in the cash market, that means. And even the F&O space is showing some kind of an uptake. How would you look at Dr. Lal Path Labs again?
See, still the counter is yet to give a breakout, so I'm expecting that it should happen within, let's say, today or maximum by tomorrow. So I'm very much optimistic for the breakout to happen for the day, because it has sustained on the higher levels near the breakout zone for in the yesterday trading session. So I'm expecting that the time it breaches the zone of 2500 on the higher end, the first resistance which it is facing is near about 25, 20, 25 odd levels on the spot zone. So the time it breaches the zone of 25 on the spot levels, then there can be a strong surge in this counter. And definitely for short duration, the target comes around 25.60 to 80. But on the longer duration, one can definitely expect the previous swing high to get retested, which is placed around the zone of 26.40 odd levels.
Okay. Right. So we were also briefly discussing the railways pack as well, and the counter that's coming on my radar is IRCTC, half a percent higher in trade at about 952 odd levels. Even though the company has reported its earnings, where the revenue has risen about 22 odd percent to 84 crores, there has been an EBIT loss, of 3.2 crores. The rail near business has been softer. How would you really look at, IRCTC at this point in time?
See, all the railway counters has underwent some kind of time-wise correction phase. So I'm not expecting the counter to have again a very aggressive movement from here onwards, but definitely it need to make a base for itself before the next set of rally. So I'm expecting the zone of 940, 930 to be seen as a consolidation zone. The more time it spends near the zone of 940, 950 odd levels, it will be more on the positive front. Then from there onwards, definitely we can expect the upward movement to continue, because from a technical perspective, all the majority of the technical parameters are in the overbought zone. So they need to cool down. They need to be on the comfortable side. So the time it is spent in the corrective phase or in a time-wise correction phase, we can expect the upside movement to happen in a very drastic manner. So immediately 940, 930 is the zone where I am expecting the support to happen. On the higher end, 980 to 1000 is the zone where one can expect it to resist. So definitely this is the range for the time being. So one should definitely have a pragmatic approach and try to buy the dips and sell on the rise.
Okay, let's look at places within the market, Sakshi, where you see profit booking. And I'd like to come across to Aurobindo Pharma, a bit of a weakness that's creeping into this particular counter. This is not the lone counter within the pharma space which is undergoing profit booking. You have a strong downtick also coming in on Biocon, 2.8% lower. The price on Biocon is 283. Then stocks are seeing long unwinding as well as profit booking at record levels, which is Cipla down about 1.4%. 47. This is nothing to be worried about, but I'm just saying that when markets are at record highs, this is what typically happens, that you see profit booking, long unwinding happening at such levels. Remember, Cipla, the likes of Sun Pharma have moved 20, 25, 30% over the last 3 months. And this is where mild profit booking is happening. What else can I mark here? Ipca Labs about 1.4% lower. Let's look at the fact whether this is accompanied by a sharp surge in volume. No. When you look at the list of most active futures, there isn't a single pharma future in the top 10, 12 that I see. Sakshi, I think it will be Zomato's day today. You were right when it comes to that block B. Now at 163.80 days high, and about 517 crores worth of Zomato has been traded, making it the most active counter on the National Stock Exchange. The 5-day average is 844. Strong moves coming in, and I think a record high fairly soon on Power Grid. Sakshi.
Okay, let's revisit some of the buzzing stocks. Zaggle Prepaid, we had mentioned 11.5% higher in trade. That stock is moving up very sharply. Let's also look at some of the other big movers from the broader markets. So you have, okay, I will keep an eye out on Vibhor Steel Tubes. A minute to go, and we will be showing you the live listing. There could be a 425 rupees of a listing that you can look at. Snowman Logistics is moving up. Remember, it was the logistics space that we were discussing last week as well. AG's logistics kind of stocks were coming back. Snowman Logistics is up by 10%. Would you have a view, Osho, on the logistics stocks? Anything looks attractive here?
on the logistics counter, there has been many positive development that can be seen yesterday in the last week only. As you have mentioned, Aegis Logistics have seen a breakout near about the zone of 400, and from there onwards, it has continued the rally towards the zone of 462 now. But from risk reward point of view, the rally has been missed. Or if someone is already holding the rally, then they should definitely keep holding their quantity in current rally. As of now, for Aegis is still looking positive to me. I'm expecting that dip towards the zone of 430 to 440 should be auguring well. On the higher end, 465 to 470 was the first target. If it breaches those zones, then one should even look for a higher target of nearly 490 for an immediate basis in Aegis Logistics.
Okay, thanks a lot then Osho for being with us on to this special edition. We are nearing the winding up and we are also keeping a keen eye on the new listing. Okay, so it lists at 425 rupees. Against an issue price of 151, there is a 182% of an uptick that you see, and the stock is moving higher, 195.5% of an uptick for Vibhor steel tubes that you can see currently. It's moving up. There is a strong move that you can see on this one even now. 195% up now at 446 currently for Vibhor steel tubes, listed at 425 and now moved up to 446 odd levels currently. It's a great day of trade for all those investors who had the allotment. But the question is now what next? I mean, should you hold on or should you buy? Should you book your profits at this level? Shail, I think it makes for a great booking of listing gains at this point. 195% is a sharp move on the upside.
Sakshi, like I said, the less I say, the better it is. I don't understand these kind of phenomenal listings, and it's always best to accept what you don't know in the markets and do a salam to price, क्योंकि भाव भगवान है हमेशा, and wait for, how should I say, sanity to come back to
Sure.
This IPO mania that we see. I hate to say this, but you will very soon see some kind of regulatory changes coming in. This is just a lottery. This is just allocation, and it has very little to do with how stocks operate. A 200% uptick at an IPO price. What can I say? Good luck to those who got it.
Absolutely. All right, with that, ladies and gentlemen, we will wind up this edition, but we will continue to focus on the entire stock strategy for you through the trading session. So be with us on Business Today. Right now, when we close this edition, Nifty is lower by 0.2% at 22,068. Of course, there is selling pressure being seen, or profits being taken off rather. That's a better phrase to use for some of the pockets like IT, autos, oil and gas, FMCG, healthcare. Realty is the top of the town today, and we are also talking about the small caps, looking at some buying taking place. The Nifty Bank for sure. Some of the counters like HDFC Bank supporting the index at this point. We'll wrap it up at that, but do stay tuned on Business Today TV as the action continues on your screens.
Darwin Platform Group of Companies is one of the fastest growing diversified Indian conglomerates with global footprints. It is setting up offices globally and tying up with companies across the globe for multiple sectors. The company has ventured into real estate and construction, stockbroking and finance, arms and ammunition, mining, airlines, and many other sectors.
Celebrate 32 years of leadership in business news with Business Today. From the groundbreaking AI cover of Sundar Pichai to PM Modi's exclusive on G20, we redefine headlines. Now our 32nd anniversary issue explores India 2029, the 5-year agenda with industry titans sharing exclusive insights. So, just BT it for unparalleled perspectives. Business Today, 32 years of leadership, innovation, and business brilliance. Subscribe now. In today's rapidly evolving business environment, when risk is omnipresent, managing risks is no longer just about ticking a few boxes. Businesses need to maintain a panoramic view of risks to stay ahead of the curve. Join us to explore how organizations can rethink risk to unlock new possibilities and become fit for future. At PwC presents De-risking the Future in collaboration with Business Today.
Hello and welcome. You're watching Business Today Television. I'm Sakshi Batra, and on this special edition, I'm going to be focusing on the entire IPO space that's been buzzing of late. And of course, in this week again, we are going to be looking at new IPOs hitting the street. The one that's on my radar in this video is GPT Healthcare. Remember, the company operates and manages mid-sized multi-speciality hospitals under the ILS Hospitals brand, and it's now fixed the price for its 502 crore rupees IPO from 177 to 186 rupees per share. This IPO will open on February 22nd and will be open until February of 26. Now, there is a combination of both fresh issue as well as an offer for sale. About 40 crore rupees are being raised via the fresh issue, and an offer for sale of 2.6 crore equity shares is going to be